This video is about how to clean Maitake mushrooms. There are a lot of nooks and crannies in these beautiful, wonderful, delicious things, and I'm going to show you how I do this. Well, today is really exciting because I found some hen of the woods or Maitake mushrooms, and I'm going to show you how it is that I go about cleaning them. Once they're cleaned, any edible wild mushrooms that you are familiar with yourself, the easiest way that I found to cook them is simply in butter and garlic powder. Then you can add them to anything. I usually cook up a bunch at a time, and then I freeze it because they greatly reduce. There's a lot of water in all kinds of mushrooms. But what I do is I cook it up ahead of time. I put it in freezer bags, kind of, maybe like 2 sections per bag, and freeze it. And then that way, when I want to use it in a dish, whether it's a pasta dish or some kind of a cream sauce, maybe even for breakfast, then I have it ready to go, and it works out great. You can't go wrong with butter and garlic, right? So I'm going to turn the camera around and start showing you how it is that I take this apart and clean it, because there are a lot of nooks and crannies. But the way I look at it is this is not something that you can buy in a store. You have to get it from the wild, or you have to get it maybe at a farmer's market from somebody who found it in the wild. And let me address what is meant by wild mushrooms. Wild simply means that it cannot be cultivated. So morel mushrooms, for instance, which everybody loves in the springtime, those also cannot be cultivated. And the reason why is because there's different kinds of mushrooms. Just like there are different kinds of animals that live in different climates and feed on different things, mushrooms are the same way. So there are some mushrooms that kind of they're more parasitic to a live tree, and they suck the nutrients out of the live tree and eventually end up killing it. Then there are other mushrooms that grow on dead and dying wood, whether it's attached to the tree or not. If it's already on its natural decline, then those will generally grow there. And then there's others that actually grow from the soil, such as with morel mushrooms. And what happens is the mycorrhizal fungi in the soil, it's kind of like a white spider webby type material, if you can imagine that. It's in the soil in a very large area, and it has a symbiotic relationship with certain trees around it usually. And what that means is the tree roots give off something that the mycorrhizal fungi need to survive, and in turn the fungi give off its waste is something that the tree needs as a nutrient. The same way we use trees with carbon dioxide and oxygen. The tree exhales oxygen, we inhale oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide, the tree inhales carbon dioxide. Well, mushrooms and trees often have a similar relationship, and that's called the symbiotic relationship. And of course, when you're thinking about the size of a tree and a forest floor and all of this, tiny little fungi that's in the soil, that takes certain conditions to even live there. So just because a mushroom is considered a wild mushroom, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. You just have to know which mushrooms that you want to look for that are edible, and how to properly identify them, so that way you too can find them when you're out. And mushrooms are from spring until winter. I mean, there's all different kinds that are constantly rotating from season to season. So make sure to take a look around and learn what your mushrooms are. But for right now, I'm going to show you how it is that I clean this Mai-tah-kee. I will start with this little piece here. It doesn't look to be too dirty. There is some dirt here, and generally the parts that have dirt on them are not going to, that dirt's not going to come off. Now, I do have a little vegetable brush here. You can get these, I got this at the Dollar Tree. But what you want to do is we're going to end up breaking this apart into little pieces, kind of flaking it apart and washing each of those little segments to just to make sure that we have, you know, the forest dirt off from them. And these clean up pretty well. So on this one right here, I'm just going to scrape off that dirt. Oops, it's warm. I want to turn it on cool. And any dirt that's really kind of deep down in there, if you can't get it off, you know, you can just throw out that little piece. But, and for that matter, you know, like they said, God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. So, and I'm just throwing it over here in a colander that I have on the side. And, you know, this process isn't really too bad because you're generally going to cut it up anyway. And this way, when you take it apart, little by little, you can make sure that you've gotten all of the dirt out. And it's basically pre-cut. And they come apart really, really easy. I often use my fingernails just because my nails are generally pretty long, and it's just, yeah, they're my built-in tools, right? So, okay, I'm going to finish with these, and I'll be back with you. Now, this is not an identification video. This is a how to clean video, but this is what Mai-tah-kee, or Hen of the Woods, looks like. It's kind of a grayish color. It has these little, you know, almost petal type things. These are fairly young. They're not very big. They will get to be 3 times this size very easily, and that would be the ideal time to harvest. But because we're supposed to get some rain, and I have seen some really soggy Maitake after a rain, I did not want to chance it and end up having these very edible and delicious mushrooms go bad because, you know, I wanted to wait. Otherwise, I would have left them. Plus, they were right next to the path, and I did not want them to get stepped on or kicked or peed on by a dog or ran over with a bicycle or whatever. These were very fresh, maybe a couple days old, and so I just opted to harvest them now versus taking the chances with the rain. And there are plenty of others out there on that same tree getting ready to flush, and hopefully the younger specimens will fare the rain better. But this is just a little bit of a time-consuming game. You know, you got to take them apart little by little. You know, and as you get one little piece off, you know, make sure that it's clean, and as clean as you prefer. You know, it is just wood, you know, dirt from the woods, however you want to define that. But nothing on there is going to hurt anything. Just, you know, it's less gritty and it's more attractive if you can get the dirt off. these are really good even just as a side dish. They're just absolutely delicious. Chanterelles are like that too. They're really good just as a side dish. And wild mushrooms do not taste like the things that you buy in the store. You know, the normal looking button mushrooms that we're so used to here in the United States. Those, I don't care for those at all. But there are a number of wild mushrooms that I really do enjoy quite a bit. And this is definitely one of them that's at the top of the list. So, and I'm just going to break this up a little bit smaller because I want it more bite size, or because they're going to cook down a lot, but I want them more bite size. Now, once you have had these, you will understand that this little cleaning process here it's nothing, and it's more of a labor of excitement because you know what the end result is going to be like. And different mushrooms have different nutritional values too. They're quite nutritious, and some of them have a lot of vitamin D, some of them have a lot of protein, some of them have a lot of carbs. They're just, you know, just like anything else, just like any other vegetable, I suppose. You know, there's, even though it's not a vegetable, just like anything else, it has its own sets of nutritional value, which are easily found online. And a lot of these also have medicinal purposes. Some of them have been known to treat cancer and things like that. I don't worry about the medicinal purposes. I'm in it for the taste. I really enjoy them. And, you know, if I ever need to, then I can look them up, and I already know what, you know, how to identify these mushrooms and what they taste like, and, you know, and again, you know, cook them up, stick them in a bag and freeze them, and you can also can them. I believe they water bath can. I just watched somebody water bath can some mushrooms that we don't have down here. So I'm sure that you could do that with any of them. And now that I have a large colander full of cleaned Mai-tah-kee, I am going to get to processing it and get it cooked up and in a bag, but that'll be in another video. So it took me about an hour to clean up all those Maitake, and I don't want them to dry out, so I am going to go ahead and get a large pan on the stove, throw some butter in there, a whole bunch of garlic powder, put the cover on it, and just let it simmer. Now, it will release a lot of water, so I may wait to put the garlic powder in until afterwards, but that will be another video if you want to watch how to cook Maitake.